Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
Hold on to your lug nuts. It's time for an overhaul.
Turn it up some.
I'm your huckleberry.
I don't give jobs, I hire men. You won't give me anything, and I won't give you anything.
Collision, sir.
Whoa, relax. We're not even moving.
There's no crying in baseball.
Live and statewide from Spence Broadcast Plaza. We're News New Mexico with Jim Spence and Michael Swickard. It's Tuesday, June 5th, 2012. It may not be voting day for you if you're like me and Jim, which is we're declined to staters, but it is a caring day, we hope. We got Aaron Henry Diaz here. I'm Michael Swickard. Jerry Harden is our producer-director. On the Newsmaker line, Marita Noon, Energy Makes America Great.
Org,
yeah. EnergyMakesAmericaGreat.org. Marita has a new column out. Where will you be when the lights go out? Can I ask a question first, though?
Sure.
You got the EPA wanting us to spend $800 million on a coal-fired plant in the Four Corners because of, quote, visual haze. What are they doing about the forest fires?
Yeah, isn't that an interesting one? And you think about the CO2 that the forest fires are emitting and the haze that we're all living with. I was down in Roswell and Artesia yesterday, and the haze was thick down there. You know, I live in East Mountains of Albuquerque, and the haze is thick here. And this haze we're living with is a result of our federal government.
And you know, you would think the EPA would come in and decree that we're not going to have the fuel load on the floor of the forest anymore. I mean, if they're going to talk about coal being a problem, the fuel load on, where is the EPA when you need them?
Exactly. They need to be protecting us from this. This is an environmental hazard, all this haze we're dealing with from the forest fires.
Okay, so let's talk about where, it isn't if the lights are going to go out. It's just when, isn't it?
It is when, as long as we continue on this policy. The thing is it's totally optional. We don't have to have the lights go out in America. I think
really?
I told you.
I think we have to. I think we are such dumb bunnies when it comes to letting politicians do the wrong things. We've got to experience the blackouts and brownouts before we're going to actually step in.
Just look at Europe. Just look at Japan. Just look at these countries that are completely fanatic about pursuing these type of policies that the EPA is just starting to really showcase here in the States.
Yeah, and President Obama has touted those countries as if they're the model that we want. I was on a radio interview on Saturday, and a caller called in and was ridiculing me and talking about, well, Germany, look at what all Germany's done, and they're a leader and blah, blah, blah. And I stopped the guy and pointed out, do you realize what they're doing in Germany right now? And he obviously was unaware that Germany has pretty much abandoned their entire green philosophy and is building new coal-fired power plants, and natural gas, but coal and natural gas-fired power plants. It's unbelievable.
So starting today in Kentucky, there's a meeting. What are they going to be talking about?
Well, they've been fighting the EPA. Interestingly, the EPA has uniquely singled out Kentucky and West Virginia to punish them. I believe they are giving them rules as a form of retribution, but they are uniquely singling out Kentucky and blocking the permitting of any new coal surface mining taking place in Kentucky, which is a huge portion of their economy in Kentucky, represents that the EPA has blocked, I believe it's 3,800 jobs, 3,800 jobs just in the last 18 months or 2 years since they have put in a new so-called guidance. The whole thing it just rings of the sand dune lizard battle that we've been facing here in New Mexico and that other states have faced on other issues. But in Kentucky today, they finally have, after 18 months, they're finally having a hearing regarding this EPA so-called guidance. And the important thing to realize, for listeners to realize here, is that when the federal government has a rule making, as I know both of you know, But when the federal government has a rulemaking, there is a standard procedure that is involved, and that standard procedure involves public comment, and it involves hearings, and there is a set process for such a thing. And in Kentucky, they have totally skirted that by not making it a so-called rule, but by calling it a guidance.
Oh.
And by calling it a guidance, they don't have to have these hearings. However, they are applying this guidance as if it is a rule, because since they put this guidance in, since they declared this guidance on April 1, 2010, not one new surface coal mining permit has been approved. And it's important to realize that just the month before, they approved 27 coal mining permits in Kentucky, and historically they approve hundreds a year. But since this new since this new guidance, they've not approved one.
Well, I call me skeptical, but I don't have any idea why they wouldn't want to have public comment, because they ignore it routinely. There's nothing about public comment. They sit, you say your thing, and they shrug, and then they go and do what they want anyway.
At least they're taking public comment there and not using the spying drones like they're using in Nebraska and Iowa. Did you see that, Marita?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they're spying down on the farmers to make sure that they follow the federal orders.
The Clean Water Act.
Oh,
well,
man.
The Kentucky issue is a Clean Water Act issue as well, and the issue at hand is they're wanting the water to have such a little level of what they call microsiemens. 500 microsiemens was the original guidance, and then it came out to 300, which is lower than is frequently found in nature, and also lower than what is found in most expensive bottled water.
Yeah. Well, again, this isn't about any of that. This is stopping business. Yeah, we got to understand this is job killing.
That's the key thing.
That is it. We're going to talk more with Marita Noon. We're going to talk about where you're going to be when the lights go out. She's got a great column on townhall.com. We also have it on our site. You can go to her website, energymakesamericagreat.org.
Do you suppose we'll meet any wild animals?
We might. Animals that eat straw? Some, but mostly lions and tigers and bears.
Lions?
And tigers? And bears.
Yeah, that's what we got. The EPA stands in for lions, tigers, and bears. Talking with Marita Noon, energymakesamericagreat.org. We are News New Mexico. Aaron Henry Diaz is here. I'm Michael Swickard. So, Marita, in all of the talk about when the lights go out, there's part of me that says we almost need to go ahead and do it. Turn the lights out so people actually figure out how dependent they are on energy.
Well, that's what's coming.
Well, I totally agree with you, and I think I mentioned a couple months ago with you, I was on my way to Midland, Texas to speak in March, and sitting next to me on the plane from Dallas to Midland was, surprise, a man in the energy industry. But this guy was in the power industry, not the oil and gas industry as you'd expect heading into Midland, and he was specifically in the solar power industry. So the comment that I'm about to tell you that he told me was a surprise coming from him. And he said that we in this country have closed coal-fueled power plants so quickly when there's not a replacement for them yet that we are going to experience that. And he said if Texas has as hot a summer this summer as they had last summer, that they will experience brownouts this summer because there's not enough energy. And we may well see it this summer when people are try to turn on their air conditioners and put a strain on the power system. We may well see brownouts, and I agree with you. I think that that's what a lot of people are going to need to have to wake up to what's going on.
Well, they're certainly having it in Japan. When they took all of those nuclear power plants offline, they didn't really have anything to pick that up, and so they're trying to keep the office at least under 80, and not much fun.
No, and that makes people grumpy, and who knows what other results we will have as a result of that extra heat, because it does make people, when they're hot and in a place with no ventilation, because a lot of places these days are built for air conditioning, and as a result of that, they do not have windows that you can open. And you get in that kind of setting where it's stuffy and sticky and hot, and people get hostile, and we can see violence as a result of it, frankly.
I believe so, but more than that, and we're talking New Mexico. Our name is News New Mexico. When you have people thinking they may come to New Mexico, but then they hear that you're maybe going to close down your coal-fireds and you don't have enough energy, they're not coming. They're just not coming. Yeah. They're not going to come. They're not going to put a plant in, and that because are we going to pull the plug on the people, or are we going to pull the plant on the plug? Pull the plug on the plant. Blah 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 blah.
Yes. It's definitely it is a real issue. The energy price is an issue for businesses deciding where they're going to locate, and the average person has no idea how relevant that is to a business site selection and therefore the economic success of a region or a community.
Well, one of the things out in California, because they have a problem with trunk lines running enough power to the right places, is the fact that a lot of people said, turn the power off to my house because I need my job. So don't turn my job's power off because then everything falls down. So turn my house off. I don't mind you doing that. I want the power to my job on. A lot of people haven't thought about that. You may have to do one or the other, huh?
Yeah, and we've talked about smart meters before, and they play into this whole issue as well.
We're talking with Marita Noon, EnergyMakesAmericaGreat.org. Energy Makes America Possible is the real thing there. We're going to talk with her about that.
We're on a mission from God.
Well, not quite. We're close. We're kind of like the Blues Brothers. We are talking with Marita Noon, EnergyMakesAmericaGreat.org. I'm Michael Swickard. Aaron Henry Diaz is here.
Marita, now, I think reading your column, it also pointed out that I think the Obama administration and the Democratic Party, they're even at ends with each other in what would be their blue-collar union hardworking class as well.
Yes, that's true. We've seen that with the Keystone Pipeline issue, and of course we see that with the mining issue, the coal issue in Kentucky and in West Virginia. And as I'm fond of saying, what we see coming out of the Obama White House is that they are more concerned about electoral posturing than they are about energy policy. I see every decision that they're making as regard to energy, they're more concerned about trying to win an election than doing what's right for America, our citizens, and the local communities that are impacted by these decisions.
And that's not even a good campaign strategy because really they are in the minority. More people are in need of jobs. More people are in need of a state government that's going to be able to support their services, and they do that through how? The royalties, tax revenues. All of these the Obama administration's EPA regulations, it's stopping all that. And your column is very evident of that. And, of course, if you're just tuning in, you can go to newsnm.com to see Marita's latest column or to townhall.com.
Yes, and I know we just have a couple minutes. I want to remind people along the same lines of this column this week. 2 weeks ago, I wrote a column on Tombstone and what they're doing, what the Forest Service, which is not the EPA, but it's these same bureaucrats that are led by Obama appointees that, like Al Armendariz, are pushing a certain agenda, an ideology, and emotion over science and fact. And so this weekend, June 8 and 9 in Tombstone, Arizona, we're asking people to go to Tombstone for their shovel brigade that they're having to try to restore their water system in Tombstone, Arizona, that was wiped out in last year's Monument Fire. And, we started this section with talking about the fires in New Mexico and the regional haze. The fire in Arizona last year wiped out the water system in Tombstone, and the federal government will not allow Tombstone to repair the water system unless they use shovels, and horses. And so many of us are calling on people that can to go to Tombstone. I will be speaking this weekend at the Conservative Leadership Conference in Las Vegas, Nevada, so I will not be able to be in Tombstone, though I wish I was. And I hope that anybody that has the weekend available will go to Tombstone, because we need thousands of people to be there, because this is what makes a media event, and this is what we need to shame the Obama administration and get them to act.
Now, Marita, one of the problems I saw in the Albuquerque Journal, somebody writing a rebuttal to you that just kind of said, whatever she said isn't true, because she writes for the oil industry, so everything she writes, it just isn't true. And you go, well, why'd they put that letter in? What's the proof? There was no proof, just what she says isn't true. I had people say when I wrote about Tombstone, well, it's not true. They've got plenty of water. And you go, no, they don't. We got a bunch of people who are just saying stuff like that. That's
yeah, and it always baffles me when people say you're funded by oil and gas. I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I'm writing on water in Tombstone. That's why I'm writing on coal in Kentucky. We have a big issue here, and it's federal overreach and the impact that it's having on the economy.
Marita Noon, EnergyMakesAmericaGreat.org. Thank you so much for what you do, Marita.